What's going on, you guys? It's Shiraz Ahmed coming at you with some more financial and business content. If you're one of the millions of Canadians that are looking to maximize your RRSP, or even if you just want to know what is an RRSP as an investment, this is a video you're going to want to check out. So stay tuned. Okay, for those of you who don't already know who I am, my name is Shiraz Ahmed. I am a financial advisor and associate portfolio manager with Sartorial Wealth of Raymond James, located in Toronto, Canada. I'm going to be going over a really common topic that I get as an advisor myself, which is what is an RRSP and is this a good idea for me and my wealth? So, before I get too deep into it, if you could please smash that like and subscribe button, as it really does help the algorithm pick up content creators like me. And I'll also be uploading a new piece of content every single week. So if you hit the bell icon down there, you'll be notified the next time that I upload a piece of content. So without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so an RRSP, what is it? Well, it was introduced actually in 1957 as a way for the Canadian government to encourage people who did not have access to a private pension plan to save for their retirement. Now, this is at a time when pension plans were very prevalent, not unlike today. They're basically going the way of the dodo bird right now. But private pensions were very prevalent at this time. So if you were self-employed or were one of the few people that didn't have access to a private pension plan, this is one of the few ways in which you were able to actually start putting money away for your long-term savings. So another point to note is that CPP, which is our Canadian government pension plan, wasn't introduced until 1966, so nearly a decade later. So this really was the predecessor and kind of paved the way for what we would know as self-directed deferred compensation plans as we know today. All right, let's jump in a little bit on the features and benefits and how does it work. So for starters, this is a tax deferred retirement account. So this is a way for you to be able to basically put money away for the long term. And it's not tax exempt. And I actually went through a video on tax-free savings accounts already. So if you haven't already checked it out, click here and you can check out tax-free savings accounts. So unlike those, an RRSP is not tax exempt, it is tax deferred. So what this means is that any of the monies that you invest inside of this account, you basically push the tax burden to the future and basically say that I'm not going to have to pay or deal with any of the tax consequences of this today at my potentially higher tax bracket. I'm going to push this into the future, and then effectively the general idea is that your tax bracket should be lower when you're older, potentially. But that's not always true for everybody. Now, in general, Canadian investors can contribute up to 18% of their gross income, up to a maximum of $27,230 as of 2020. And an important point to be mindful of is that you can actually contribute into your RRSP until you reach 71 years old. And basically at the end of the calendar year of your 71st year, you basically are forced by the government to start withdrawing money from these accounts. So a really important point to also note about RRSPs is that the Canadian government actually gives you a tax incentive for you to actually contribute to an RRSP. If you are a salaried employee or a T4 employee, for example, this is one of the few ways in Canada in which you can actually lower your taxable income. So to really kind of help, illustrate this situation, you basically imagine that you made, let's just say for ease of math, $50,000 a year. Well, you're paying a certain amount of tax on that $50,000. Now, if you wanted to say contribute, $5,000 to your RRSP this year, what would happen in this case is that the government would say, you know what, let's pretend that you didn't make 50,000, but instead you made 45,000, and we're going to give you the taxes back on that 5,000 that you contributed into the RRSP. And that's effectively how it works. It lowers your taxable income according to the amount that you put in. Now, of course, there's that maximum, and every single year that maximum has actually been increasing. And as I mentioned, for 2020 is $27,230, and that's likely to get higher in 2021 and so on and so forth. Okay, so now that we've talked about what it is and what some of the features and benefits are, let's look at a little bit about how to use it. RRSPs are an awesome tool for creating what we call tax-deferred compound growth. I know that sounds like a mouthful, it's because it is, but really all this means in really plain English is a way for you to be able to invest your monies for the future in the long term without having to worry about taxes today, and effectively allow it to start to create that snowball effect or compound growth where you're making more money on top of more money on top of more money. And it helps exponentially increase your wealth over a period of time. The key point behind that is tax deferred compound growth, because normally you'd have to pay taxes every single year if this was a taxable account. So it's a really important distinction to make about RRSPs. So in the past, if you've watched any of my videos, I've always mentioned that time is your best friend when it comes to investing. Well, in this case, it gets even more amplified when you use an RRSP because you get that tax deferred compound growth over time. That's kind of like the perfect storm, or the stars aligning, frankly, for your investment future, in that you can now be able to compound your growth even more because you're not having to worry about taxes in this current year. Now, I know some people tend to not favor the RRSP because the money goes in and there can be a little bit tricky to get it out. Well, other than paying back some taxes and some administrative costs, it's really not that big of a deal. But we typically suggest people to put money into an RRSP that is earmarked for your long-term growth. Another interesting part about RRSPs is that they are great for estate planning purposes as well. It is one of the few assets that you can actually roll to your spouse upon your death that is not immediately taxable as far as your estate is concerned. So because you can actually name a beneficiary, you can actually roll it from one surviving spouse to the following surviving spouse. But two other lesser known facts about RRSPs is that you can actually transfer them to your next of kin under two specific circumstances. You can transfer it to a financially dependent child or grandchild who is under the age of 18, or you can also transfer it to a mentally or physically infirm child or grandchild. So these are two lesser known attributes of an RRSP that I think are really good from a long-term planning standpoint as well. So I hope this was of value for you guys. RRSPs are a great tool for people to use ultimately to help maximize their long-term growth. They're meant to be a long-term vehicle, and I know the younger you are, the harder it is to see that far in advance, but I can assure you, as a professional that deals with people literally across the spectrum when it comes to age, it is hugely valuable. Those who do use them rather, tend to really benefit in the long run. So I'd really encourage you, if you're not sure if it's the right fit, I'd encourage you to speak with a financial professional, or if you want, I'll put my contact information at the end of this video, and please don't hesitate to reach out. We can get sort of granular on some of your own specific circumstances. But overall, it tends to be a good idea. Under very rare circumstances, is it not a good fit for people's long-term wealth growth? So that being said, I'd love to hear from you. If there's anything specific that you wanted to know about RRSPs, or even your own experience with them, I'd love for you to drop me a line as well. That'd be great to hear back from you guys on how you've incorporated this into your portfolio. And as always, if you appreciate the content, please smash that like, subscribe, and bell icon. It really does help the algorithm pick up creators. So until next time, I really appreciate your support. Stay safe out there, guys, and talk soon. Bye for now.